Hey everyone, welcome to the first annual Spyro month, where anytime this month, I'm going to be talking about Spyro the Dragon. God damn it. Sorry guys, I started writing the script before I saw that video. We should probably start rethinking this now. Anyway, I've been wanting to do this ever since the category started Bandicoot month and Andrew did Mario month, and ever since it just became a yearly occurrence. For those who don't remember, in one of my updates I said I was going to do a Spyro month, and in the video I was pretty vague with my details. So basically, every September I'm going to be dedicating every month to Spyro. Now why did I pick September for this? Well, a couple of reasons actually. That's when the Reignited Trilogy came out on PC and Nintendo Switch last year. That's when the first game came out, September 8th, 1998, and Spyro's name started with an S, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, just like Crash, I never really knew about the Spyro Trilogy until the Reignited Trilogy came out, but unlike Crash, I actually didn't know about Spyro until I played Skylanders. Let me explain!
Don't get me wrong, I love the Reignited Trilogy. I put so many hours on it, but nowhere near the amount of hours I spent on CTR Nitro Fueled and maybe even the original Crash Trilogy. And even though I love the Reignited Trilogy, I probably still prefer Crash over Spyro. And since I don't share any prior memories of Spyro, I thought the best way to start off my first theme month is with the first game, Spyro the Dragon. Anyway, Insomniac Games, the creators of games like Ratchet & Clank, Infamous, Next Gen Spider-Man game, and Unspoken, but Insomniac first started off with the first-person shooter. But anyway, when the shooter wasn't so well for the company, Universal decided to give Insomniac another chance to come up with a more family-friendly game to rival the Nintendo 64, and lo and behold, Spyro the Dragon. The team would go on to make a great trilogy of games, combined with Naughty Dog's Crash Bandicoot. PlayStation would have its very own mascots like Mario and Sonic. Fun fact, in Crash Warped, you can actually play a demo of Spyro the Dragon by putting in the Konami code in the title screen, and the same thing goes to Spyro 1. Even though I'm more of a Crash fan than a Spyro fan, I'd be a dumbass to deny that Spyro along with Crash and Solid Snake pretty much made the PlayStation. Now that we got the history lesson out of the way, let's talk about the story. The story starts off in the world of the dragons. The dragons are in an interview when the interviewer starts up bringing up Nasty Nork. Another dragon comes in and calls them ugly, simple, and no threat. After that, Nasty Nork goes on a rampage shooting all the dragons and crystals, besides Spyro. He mentions not to get sealed because of his small size, and also up to him to free all the dragons, collect all the gems, and torch Nasty Nork for once and for all.
That's it. I mean, just like any other platform at the time, the story doesn't mean a goddamn thing. The real thing of the game is the gameplay.
Anyway, as a collectathon, Spyro doesn't really bring anything new to the table. It's kind of like how Mario or Banjo-Kazooie kind of handled it, or more modern attempts like Yooka-Laylee or Hat in Time, games that I haven't ever played yet. Spyro's moveset is pretty simple. You can charge into enemies, and this might just be me, but I always found killing enemies via charging felt so good to do. It might have something to do with that impact you make on enemies. His charges alone makes him run faster, and he can also flame enemies. And what's really cool about this is that this game kind of uses his attacks in a certain way. For the big enemies, you need to flame them. For the enemies wearing armor, you need to charge them. Spyro can also glide because, you know, he's a fucking dragon. His glide lets him get to places easier, and the higher you jump, the more height you're gonna get. Spyro can also do this roll attack, which I honestly forgot that was in the game. It's supposed to help you dodge enemies, but it really isn't that hard to just jump out of the way. As you progress, you'll probably notice more small things like sheeps, lizards, mushrooms, and other stuff. That's where Sparks comes in. His color represents your health meter. If your color is anything below yellow, that means it's draining. To stop that from happening, you need to torch or charge into small enemies. They release butterflies so Sparks can eat them. Sparks can also pick up gems as long as you're near them, he automatically picks them up. Anyway, to progress to this next set of levels, you need to free the dragons from their crystals. And what's really cool that these dragons also have in-game dialogue after you free them.
Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here? He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg! You've got to track him down and get that egg! Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
I didn't say it was good, I said it was there. When you free most of them, a lot of them just give you some advice, but others are just...
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
What the f-
And then there's the infamous "thank you for releasing me" line.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
Just a lot of dragons just say that one line. Some of them are just mostly recalls of the other dragons, and I mean some of them even use the same voice clip.
Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me.
Thank you for releasing me.
Again. Say
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
again. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
Anyway, you need to free all the dragons in that world, beat that world's boss, if you can call it that, and then rinse to repeat. I like how a lot of these levels have certain themes, like how Ice Cavern is kind of like a snowland, Dry Canyon is kind of like a war zone, and Treetops is, yeah, it's trees, and the stupid ass jump. The Artisan's homeworld is supposed to be an art world, hence the name, but there really isn't anything to explain that. Thankfully, the Reignited Trilogy shows a little bit more detail on what the Artisan's theme is supposed to be. Then there are the Speedway levels. There are free flight levels where you can flame and charge into planes, skydivers, light posts the fastest you can. These levels have pretty much become a staple to the Spyro series, and I completely suck at them. Like, I don't know if it's because the turn window is too tight while free flying, but I just can't really get into it like other people have. Don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty fun, but I just can't really get them all, at least on my third or fourth try. Now let's move on before I piss off any more OG Spyro fans. The other collectibles are gems. You can either find gems in plain sight or inside of a chest. There's also gems you can find in an iron chest that you can't open with a normal charge. That's where speed ramps come in. You charge on them to supercharge, and there you go. It also helps break iron chest, and it just feels really good pulling this off. There's something really satisfying just smashing everything that's in your path. That's what she said. Some chests actually need the keys somewhere on the level to open them. These gems also have different values. The red ones count as 1, the green ones count as 2, the blue ones count as 5, the golden ones count as 10, and the purple ones count as 25. Sometimes the gems are used as currency to exchange to the balloonists to get to other worlds in the dragon realms. Then there are the dragon eggs. Each world has an egg thief on the loose with a dragon egg. I know I'm gonna sound weird for this, you can blame Master J for that. But now I can't stop thinking about how dragons reproduce in this world. Every other dragon has been male, and the youngest is Spyro, so I don't know where dragon eggs would come from. Anyway, once you collect all the dragon eggs, you get nothing. And no, I'm serious. You actually don't get rewarded for collecting all of them. And it looks like the game forgot about them too, because they just stopped counting them by the third world. There really isn't any incentive to get them other than bragging rights. The gems, however, unlock a new stage called Nasty's Loot, which is actually a free-to-flight stage where you do nothing but collect gems. It's nice to see that Insomniac Games managing to make a new world without the first game being ball-working hard to 100% like Crash 1.
Jeez, it's like I'm having war flashbacks.
So once you collect everything, you get a secret ending where pieces are restored to the Dragon World until Nasty Nord crystallizes them again, because that worked so well last time, Nasty. Also, that has nothing to do with the sequel, so this foreshadowing is kind of unnecessary. The boss fights are just pathetic. All they do is just do a loop set of attacks and just run away and repeat. Even the final boss is structured like this. The only one I like was Metalhead, but he was still pretty easy. I think the worst one was Jack. I don't know how to spell that. I'll see others try to attack you. This one poses no threat whatsoever. And I would like to mention that the credits in this game aren't just the usual scrolling credits you see in literally every other game ever. It's more like the escaping views in this game that in the worlds that you explored in this game. It's just way better than just scrolling credits, and just really nice seeing these levels from this kind of scope. Like, this game still looks pretty good. All the worlds are pretty vibrant and fit the colorful world of this game. Sure, the draw distance is pretty dreadful, but it's the PS1, so the developers didn't really have a lot to work with. But in the big picture, the game is pretty beautiful overall. Although the character models look pretty dated compared to other games on the PS1. Back in 1998, this was where lip-syncing animations were at. Nowadays, it's just kind of ugh. A lot of the dragon's teeth look like circles painted onto their mouths, and sometimes Spyro's eyebrows don't even look like they're connected to its forehead, and his eyes just look like paper glued on. The soundtrack holds up really well. Stuart Copeland did a really great job. Every song in this game is a masterpiece, and thankfully in the Reignited Trilogy, you can keep those on if you want, which is what I personally do, even though the theme of Wizard's Peak was just straight up ripped out of the Amanda Show, which Stuart Copeland also did the soundtrack for. Anyway, some of my favorite tracks are Dark Hollow because of how peaceful it sounds, Wild Flight because of the guitars and drums that were used in that song, and the Beastmaker's World is just a great sound to your ears. And as soon as you open up the game, the title screen is just popping. You know that your soundtrack is the best when your title screen is the best song in the game. So yeah, Stuart Copeland is genius. He made one of the best soundtracks of all time. I love him. Pause. In conclusion, this is a great collectathon. It sets off the series with very great controls and great music, and it's also great that the sequels have just the right amount of difficulty without one strangling themselves in some of the Jak 2 missions. You want to talk about war flashbacks? However, that being said, a lot of other platformers do the collectathon thing way better. I mean, the sequels improve on the formula and make it even better. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Banjo-Kazooie, all those other games, they may not be sound as Spyro, but the worlds you play in and the characters you interact with are just way more interesting to me. To be fair, Spyro did come out way before most of those games, but from someone who played those games first, these worlds just come off as a little bit barren and not very engaging. But as far as first games go, I'll gladly play this over Crash 1. Crash's really heavy jumping physics don't really suit the tight and precise platforming, but Spyro's controls feel more fluid, more smoother, and even though this game is pretty easy, I think it's better than Crash's first outing. Don't misunderstand me, I'm not calling Crash 1 bad. I think it's a very fun game to play every once in a while. Just that these two games are radically different games, difficulty rise.
Anyway, that's it for Spyro 1. At its heart, it's a really great game, but it kind of suffers from barren level design, uninteresting characters, really easy difficulty, and really bad boss fights. Spyro 1's kind of one of those video games where it kind of does a great job at setting off the footprints with what's to come to the series, but the sequels just do a better job overall. Anyway, enough of me complaining about a nearly 22-year-old game, because next time we're going to be looking at Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, also known as Gateway to Glimmer in Europe and Australia. I mean, just like, why do games need regional games? I mean, Gateway to Glimmer is a good enough name, but Ripto's Rage sounds better. But until that video comes out, thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome to Spyro Month. Last time we was at Spyro the Dragon. While it was a great game, it was kind of held back by empty levels and collectibles that lacked little meaning. While it could have been better, but they got right. So now we're gonna be looking at the sequel, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, also known as Gateway to Glimmer in Europe and Australia. Like, why? I mean, Gateway to Glimmer is just Gateway to Glimmer is a good enough name, but Ripto's Rage just kind of rolls off the tongue better. Anyway, let's get on to the review.
Before we start this video, I want to say if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. You wouldn't believe the ratio of people who watch my videos who aren't subscribed. Anyway, let's get into the story. Spyro and Sparks are very tired, and they see a gateway to Dragon Shores, claiming they haven't been there since they beat Nasty Nork, even though we weren't in Dragon Shores in the last game. They arrive at Glimmer, where they meet the Professor, Alora the Fawn, and Hunter the Cheetah. They grab them to defeat Ripto, you know, they actually don't really explain what species Ripto is. Hang on. Oh, well, Ripto. Okay, that name makes a lot more sense. Actually, how Ripto got his name was how Spyro's name was spelled in Japan. So they accidentally brought Ripto here because, I don't know. I'm just gonna assume that Ripto just found the portal, went through it, saw Hunter, Alora, and the Professor, and just said, "You're in my world now, bitch." Anyway, when Ripto finds out that they brought a dragon, he... I mean, I don't know what he does, actually. I mean, I don't know if I miss anything, but all he does is just wave his around while Zoe steals it, then Crush just bashes him, so... Unfortunately for Spyro, he needs to collect all 14 talisman and a certain number of orbs to defeat Ripto, and as expected, because, you know, good always defeats evil, Spyro defeats Ripto, and Avalar is back to peace. The story isn't any bigger than the last one, but the production values have definitely been given a boost, and the voice acting has been improved a lot since the first game, and it really helps that Tom Hayes is now the voice of Spyro. I really love this man as the Ice King from Adventure Time, and I love him here as Spyro 2. He did a way better job than the last one. I mean, no offense to Carlos's Rocky, but your voice acting...
Where's Nasty Nork? I'll torch him.
It could have been done better. Anyway, let's go on to the gameplay. Spyro controls pretty much the same as the last game. You can charge, breathe fire, and glide. But that roll move from the first game is nowhere to be seen. I mean, it's now in all 3 games in the Reignited Trilogy, so... yeah. Actually, Spyro gets new moves that he can use now. He can flap, which helps you be more precise with your jumps. He can swim, which surprisingly controls well. Too bad they messed it up in the Reignited Trilogy. And the ability to headbash, which helps you find secret areas by smashing Spyro's head so hard that it goes through the ground. There's one particular mission that involves the headbash, and yeah, it's not really that great, but I'll get to that later. You get all of these moves from this greedy whore moneybags. He takes all your jumps to teach you your moves, an in-game paywall, if you will. Speaking of which, gems are back too, and they're still needed for 100% completion, but they're given more detail now. They all have different shapes and sizes, and a detail I forgot to mention in the first video is that enemies also have gems inside them once you kill them. In this game, they just kind of turn into souls. I mean, I don't know what they just turn into. While we're on the topic of gems, Sparks can point out gems that you're missing, which saves you a lot of backtracking. Anyway, the main collectibles are talismans now. They're given to you by the world's NPCs once you get to the end of the level, and they just kind of stop giving it to you after the third world. But yeah, each world has an NPC now. They have one problem in their world, and Spyro has to help them out. It's kind of funny how the cutscenes show you how they got into the situation in the first place, and when peace is restored, you really feel like you accomplished something. Also, the Electrolls and Hurt Coast, they're just SpongeBob.
We've always had trouble with the gear grinders, but now they've set up force fields to separate us. If you can find diodes, you can use them to turn off the force fields.
I can't be ugly! I can't be! I can't be ugly!
That's so weird, and both of them came out in the same year. Spyro can also go through these gates that give him temporary power-ups like flying, super breath, and ability to walk on lava. You use these to get some of the green orbs. You get orbs by doing specific challenges for the world's NPCs. I like most of the orbs that have to do more with platforming than anything, but a lot of them are still pretty fun. You get to play some hockey, you get to find a professor's pencil, you even get to ride a trolley. Ah, shit.
Trouble with the trolley, eh?
You need to shut the fuck up.
And then there's the goddamn alchemist mission. Somehow Hunter got his foot stuck in cement, so now I gotta escort a dumbass scientist so he doesn't die, and almost fakes out going left. And plus, the room was right next to him, so he could've gone left, but no, he decided to take the other way. And the cherry on top of this bullshit sundae is that Hunter has a mission that you can do with the move you probably don't have at the moment. So when you first play that mission, you have to, when you get to when you get the head bash, you have to play the same mission to do the mission with Hunter. It's also worth noting in reading I Trilogy I ran into this glitch. Wow guys, what a terrible remake, you should be ashamed of yourselves. One of my favorite missions is this one in Zephyr, where you have to plant all these seeds so you can get Romeo back to Juliet. What I really like about this mission is that you need to figure out where you need to plant these seeds so you can grow them. And I think it provides a nice platforming challenge. And let's talk about these stone guys in Fractured Hills. I love how in the Reignited Trilogy, where you charge them into lava, these jackasses just start guilt tripping you. They look so sad when they fall into the lava. I almost just feel bad for killing them. Almost. This game's kind of structured like this. You're placed in one world, find all the gems, complete some tasks of that world's NPCs, and get to the end of the level with a talisman. Personally, how these levels are structured, I think this is better designed than the first game. While the first game's worlds were already pretty organic and vibrant, but with the more colorful cast of characters, I think this makes for a more memorable experience. I figured out that when you enter the first hub world, Summer Forest, and that's really pretty. There's so much more things to do, and it's just way more expansive. I mean, the first game's levels were pretty good, there are a handful of things you do, but unlike the first game where you complete all the levels in a couple of minutes, there's some gems and orbs you can't get until you get some of the moves for money bags. These homeworlds kind of have a season setting to them. Summer Forest, Autumn Plains, and Winter Tundra. I kind of find it really weird that there's no love for a Spring's homeworld. Wow, that's what my birth month is, man. Actually, there's a lot of rumors going around saying that there was a fourth homeworld in the works, but was scrapped from the final game. But when Insomniac was asked about this on a Twitch stream, they said that a fourth homeworld was never really planned, so rip Spring Savannah. Actually, there's a fan game in the works called Spyro 2 Spring Savannah. I don't know if it's done, but it looks pretty good. I think I should check it out on Spyro Mills someday. Alright, sorry, I'm getting off track. I think my favorite homeworld is the Winter Tundra. I think this world has the best level of aestheticity, and just looks really pretty, especially in the Reignited Trilogy. It has really nice secrets to discover. Actually, all the homeworlds also have ores to find, and a lot of them feel really good to find though. Like in Autumn Plains, when you go inside of the castle, you find a secret area on this wall over here that I found by complete accident in the Reignited Trilogy. Or in Winter Tundra, you glide on the ledges of these platforms and you think you died, but it's actually another area. You swim through there and you find another speedway level. And in Summer Forest, you see a place you see a place you can swim, but you can't go down there because you can't swim yet. So once you get the ability to swim underwater, you will go back, then swim under there, and you find a new area where you reward with another orb. It's pretty subtle, but subtle enough to the point where you feel like a genius for figuring it out.
Anyway, speaking of speedway levels, they make a return here and they're just the same as the last time, and just like last time, I still suck at them. Spaw's controls are the same while free flying, so yeah, the same complaints I had from the first game apply here too. But there are also orbs here too. After you complete the main mission, you need to go to the audience and find an NPC so you can do a mission with Hunter to get it. And yeah, these missions are pretty fun, so I guess this makes them better than the first ones though. So there. This game also introduces skill points, and kind of like Xbox achievements and PlayStation trophies before those were a thing. You get these by doing things like beating the boss without getting hit, beating the speedway within a certain amount of time. You even get one by hitting Ripto in the Crush boss fight. Once you collect all of them, you just get to see what the characters have been up to after the game ends. You get concept art for enemies who didn't make the final game, but yeah, it's not really a great reward. Now the bosses are 10 times better than they were in the last game. Instead of just doing a loop set of attacks and just running away, they stand their ground and fight you. Although I do have to say that Crush had a huge difficulty spike in the Reignited Trilogy. As far as the projectiles just know where you're about to be, and he jumps where you're about to land. Screw Crash. Spyro was the Dark Souls of platformers. I didn't mean that. It was a joke. Please don't hurt me. Really, the highlight of the 3 bosses is Ripto himself, which is the best Spyro boss period. Out of the original PS1 trilogy, I think this is my favorite boss fight. It's just a step up from Nastinor from every sense of the word. Hunter helps you by dropping power orbs in Ripto's arena so you can grab him, flame him, or charge into Ripto. But Ripto can grab them too, so you need to grab them first. After the arena breaks into pieces, Ripto gets on his flying bird and tries to attack us that way, while you're trying to flame him while you fly, and the music playing along with his final battle is just so epic. I love this boss, definitely one of the best final bosses in any PS1 game. But once you lay the final hit on Ripto, once you lay the last hit on Ripto, he burns in lava. Oh wait, but doesn't he appear in Enter the Dragonfly? No, he doesn't. Just shut up. Anyway, once you defeat Ripto, the professor fixes the portal to send Spyro home. Hunter actually does something right by tackling Moneybags for making us pay so much to get throughout Avalar. Spyro tells Sparks to grab him, but I don't really know where he puts it, so... Anyway, Spyro finally gets his vacation to go to Dragon Shores, and you can enjoy it too. Yeah, Dragon Shores is actually playable. You can do a couple of challenges to earn coins, like a dunking mini game, a shooting gallery. There's the trolley game, but this time it doesn't. There's a trolley again, but this time it doesn't control like ass. There's also this tunnel of love thing, so yeah. Anyway, once you complete all the mini games, which shouldn't take you any more than 10 minutes, you get a cutscene viewer, which is alright. It's nice to see that, but if you have all 10,000 gems and 64 orbs, you get a permanent super breath power up, which you can infinitely just spam. Now, at first glance, this might just look disappointing for going through all that crap just for a permanent power up. Just go back to the title screen, look new save file, and I'm using the flame breath for the entire game. To be honest, I completely forgot about this until I streamed Spyro 2 Reignited last week, so yeah, it's pretty forgettable, but at least makes the boss fight with Gulp a lot less of a pain in the ass. Come on, man. And here's something really cool. Oh! I could have done this entire time. And if you hit Ripto in the fight, you get skill points. There's also cheat codes you can use, which I forgot to mention in the first game too. You can use them to either make Spyro have a big head or make him fly. You even get all the moves you get from Moneybags from the start. And just like the last game, there's a demo for another Crash game. This time is Crash Team Racing, which is also a great game, so yeah. The graphics are pretty much the same as the last game, but unlike the first game where the level design was more open and encouraged exploration, while that's still here, the level design is more scaled down and has a little bit more skull areas to add more detail. which I think works in the level's favor. I mean, the first game was already really pretty for PS1 standards, but I think this game improves on it in every sense of the word. The worlds are just so much more lively and full of NPCs. I mean, compared to this game, the first game's worlds are really barren and empty. Really shows what you can do in the gap of 1 year. Soundtrack is just as amazing as last time. Stuart Copeland's return, and he's made it even better than the first game. Just so much more upbeat, and it's just really catchier. Some of my favorite tracks are Fractured Hills because of the second half of the song, Scorch because of the whistling, or I don't know what it is. All the homos because it just sounds so much peaceful, and it doesn't really have a soundtrack. It's more like the sounds of the seasons. And Glimmer gets a shout out too because it hits you as soon as you open up the game. And again, the final boss with Ripto is just so orchestral. So yeah, the soundtrack, 20 out of 4, would recommend.
Now, I know a lot of people don't really like Spyro 2's heavy reliance on mini-games, but to be honest, I don't really mind them. I don't think they're hindering the experience that much. I mean, I think they're pretty fun with the right mindset, and they offer a nice challenge. I mean, except for the Alchemist mission. I'm sorry to bring it up, but that mission's bad. But other than that, yeah, I enjoyed myself here.
And like I said, the voice acting has improved significantly. I mean, it's not Metal Gear Solid good, but it's better than the first game. I even like the weird acting in Zephyr. And I know I was bitching about how much the voice acting sucked in the first game, but at least here it's more purposely bad. Although the Reignited Trilogy kind of fixes it, but like, not really. They kind of go for a Ratchet & Clank PS4 approach for the voice acting. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's kind of like Toys for Bob just missed the point of those characters sounding odd.
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Oh, there's Romeo. You can have this. I don't need it anymore.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Oh, there's Romeo.
Anyway, Spyro 2 is a step up from the first game in almost every way. I say almost because A, no game is perfect, and B, there's some things I found this game very odd to say the least, but yeah, Spyro 2 is one of the best sequels I played. And when it comes to great memories that fans have with the series, this is the entry that they're thinking of. This game is kind of like Crash 2 as it improves on the mechanics of the first game and makes it better. Like I said in the last video, Spyro 1 is like one of those video games where it says the blueprints of what's to come from the series later, but the sequels just do a better job overall. And this game, along with many others, are a shining example of that.
So we're in the second game and we're already hit with a huge leap in quality. That's usually not a good sign because the sequel is probably just not going to be as good or it's going to suck. But who knows, because next time we're going to be looking at Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon. So before I sign off, make sure to check my Twitter and Instagram for video and video updates, and make sure to join my Discord server. The community there is pretty okay. Only someone fucking L shows up. Ugh. Night over there, so make sure to stop over and say hi, and make sure to subscribe to my second channel, Issue Stash, where I export all my streams and upload bloopers to reviews and plush videos, and I just shitpost a lot. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace. Hey guys, we're back to Spyro month. Last time we looked at Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, also known as Gateway to Glimmer if you live in New York or Australia. And now we'll be looking at the following game in the PS1 trilogy, and the last game Insomniac developed for Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon. And good timing too, because this was released in the year 2000, which is actually the Year of the Dragon in Japan, so well done, Insomniac.
So at this point in Spyro's life, he's become very popular over time. Spyro 1 and 2 were both financial and critical successes, and by September of 1999, the Spyro franchise has sold over 1 million copies, so yeah, Spyro's become PlayStation's secondary mascot right next to Crash Bandicoot.
Spyro fans are pretty divided when it comes to which game is the best in the trilogy. Some prefer Spyro 2, while others prefer Spyro 3. Me personally, this is actually my first time playing the original PS1 game. I originally had all 3 games emulated to hype myself up for the Reignited Trilogy, but I lost the third one, so I only played Spyro 2 at that point. So right now this is all uncharted territory for me. I played in the Reignited Trilogy, and it was my favorite game in that collection, so but it might not be the same because we're on the PS1 now and not the Nintendo Switch. So let's get on to the final game of the trilogy and see what our purple dragon has to deal with now.
We start off in the world of the dragons where everyone's asleep until some new faces start stealing dragon eggs. When one of them steps on Hunter's foot, they all wake up realizing their eggs are being stolen. After failing trying to capture them back, we see where they're being taken to. We find out that a sorceress wants them for power. But back to the dragon world, Spyro has to go through the holes that the guards digged up because he's the only one who can fit through them. Even though Hunter can go through them no problem, or that all the dragons can just dig up bigger holes, whatever. Spyro has a mission to get all the dragon eggs back and beat the sorceress. So yeah, the story is more or less the same as the last two games, so yeah. Although I think Tom Kenny's at his best as Spyro here. I just love how he just does this really funny passive-aggressive performance here.
Ooh, look out, Hunter. It's the scary sorceress. Come back when you finish witch school, okay? Good thing for you, Hunter was around. Out of magic, huh? How about I give you a jump start?
So yeah, Spyro 3, gameplay-wise, is more or less the same as Spyro 2. You find an NPC, do that challenge. Usually I will start off with how Spyro and how he controls, but I'm going to be tackling the collectibles first. The dragon eggs you find are kind of like the collectibles from Spyro 1 and 2. One, because you find most of them stuck on a platform or in a distance where you have to look. And two, because you have to do certain challenges to get them back, and like the last game, these missions are just all over the place. You do so many crazy things.
Okay, so remember in the first video I said how do the dragons in this world reproduce when there is no female dragons? Well, this clearly drags into my point because in this game they're actually female baby dragons in this who actually hatch from their dragon eggs, but like there's still no female adult dragons, so
You do things like help a little girl perform while a bunch of hockey players try to destroy her. I mean, I don't really know what to say about this because the hockey players just look like they want to kill her, but she's just kind of skating while they're supposed to play a hockey game, so yeah. You get to shoot missiles into a Rhinox submarine, and there's also this one twin dragon fight in Fireworks Factory. I mean, it's not bad, it's just really annoying. I felt like my thumb was about to fall off by spamming the shit out the circle button. And you even get to ride a skateboard, a lot of people's favorite part of the game. You can do score challenges, flame lizards, do races and other stuff. People say it's really fun, you know what I mean? It's not, I don't think it's really good, but I still like it. I mean, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was pretty popular in the late 90s to mid 2000s, so I guess Insomniac wanted to capitalize on that opportunity. But then there's also the bad missions. Remember the alchemist shit from the last game? Well, imagine doing that while having NPCs that move faster than Sheila and can easily run into things without looking. It's so annoying to hear this line over and over and feel the mission so many times.
Ow! I went boom again.
And this one mission where you have to kill all the Rhinox who keep on hitting people who are trying to get into their houses. I mean, maybe they just won't look up. Whatever. I mean, I thought that was pretty funny. In the level Desert Ruins, you find a character named Tara Croft, which is a not so subtle reference to Laura Croft. Gems are the only collectibles that return. They function the same way like they did in the last game, paying money bags so we can go into areas and unlock new characters, so yeah, nothing has changed in that aspect. But going back to the first game, gems now come out of enemies instead of this soul stuff, so yeah. Anyway, you go into the first level, Sunny Villa, and there's a huge difference here. There are no longer cutscenes once you enter in and out of the levels. Sure, you can argue that they didn't really mean anything story-wise, but it was a pretty funny detail to add to the game. I mean, here you just go into the level and like nothing really happened. I mean, it makes the load times more seamless, but I don't know, it feels like Insomniac just took out the charm on purpose. They just tell you what happened and you just do the thing. You know, show don't tell rule? Well, this game kind of does the opposite. Kind of like another game that I know. Not naming any names or anything. I mean, there are cutscenes during the hub world, but it's more like plot development and how the sorceress is feeling about Spyro's progression, and a little more character development from Bianca. She and Hunter also start having a romantic subplot too, so yeah. So let's talk about how Spyro controls. So he pretty much controls like he did in the last two games, which was already great, so yeah. Spyro has all of his moves from the last game. He can still flap, swim, and still has his sweet head bash move. And this game also introduces 6 new playable characters. First is Sheila the Kangaroo. She's
My job.
pretty fun to play as. She plays similar to Spyro, but you know, she's a kangaroo. She hops around, she has a high jump if you press X at the right time, and she also has this kick and a sweet ground pound attack, which is kind of like Spyro's head bash, and it's really cool. She's personally my favorite character to play as out of the 2. And also, she looks really cute in Green Knight Trilogy. She has this nice hair cut and this Ranger jacket. And it's just better than her generic kangaroo design in this game. It's not bad, but like, just compared to 2. Next is Sergeant Bird. Sword just free flight, so yeah. And he also shoots out missiles, but they're not really that accurate, which can be annoying. This one mission where you have to kill every cat, but just kamikaze you at every chance they get. But I just fly, so it's really hard to get an accurate aim on them. And for some reason, on my emulator, my controller has input lag, so I'm desperately trying to press the circle button, but Sergeant Bird just stands there for like 2 seconds. Like, I don't know if I'm just terrible at video games or something, but I got screwed here more times than boxing with Bentley. But besides that, he's pretty fun to play as. Also, he just kind of waddles when he's on the ground. I think that's a really fun detail. Alright, him. Then there's Bentley the Yeti.
One more, perhaps? At least.
Alright, him. Then there's Bentley the Yeti. He's the slowest of the group, so yeah, I get it. He's the biggest, so it will make sense that he's slower and has shorter jumps. He also has his club, which he beats the shit out of moneybags with, and he can smash things with it and reflect projectiles. He can also smash metal crates, so yeah. Also, his voice sounds really different for what he looks like. I mean, just look at his face and tell me you would expect that kind of voice.
Ah, the first rejuvenating breath of freedom. With the humility of a wounded sparrow, I genuflect to my noble deliverer.
It was no big deal, dude.
And then there's Agent 9.
Thanks, Spyro. Ooh, say, you ever see a bear dance?
No.
Well, it's your lucky day. Check this out.
He's pretty stiff control when moving forward, and his gun isn't really that impressive. I mean, it's not bad, but he's definitely my least favorite out of the 4. Characters also have their own level to show you how to control and how their mechanics work. These characters are also required to 100% complete the level, which has you, say it with me, backtrack a lot. You're not required in every level, but when you reach a door that has a specific character on it, but when you're at that door and you don't have that character locked yet, you're gonna have to wait until you have the character to go, and then go back to that level. The same challenge thing kind of applies with these characters too. Like, they're just all over the place. She'll have to bomb the Rhinox lair when somehow one seal didn't die when he was inside the lair when it exploded. Sergeant Bird has to blast all these cats, which, like I said before, kind of sucks. Agent 9 just does this on-rail shooter thing, and then there's this boxing minigame with Bentley, which is pretty ass, but I don't know if this is because I played a lot of Wii boxing, but I don't know, this video game isn't really as bad as people make it out to be. I mean, it's still pretty bad, but like, you know, not terrible. Hunter is actually playable too. Hidden in the Speedway levels, Hunter has a challenge to do where you actually play as him instead of being assisted by him. And for some reason, all of his missions always have to do something with alien invasion by sheeps. I mean, I like it, it's just really weird. Hunter is some of the best right here.
Where do these flying sheep saucers keep coming from?
But there's still one more playable character, and that is Spyro the Dragonfly. Yeah, your health meter is actually playable. I like this twin stick shooter. You can shoot off projectiles, use a shield, and yeah. It's kind of weird why Sparks can do this, because he could have gotten most of the Dragon Eggs himself. In fact, he could have been doing this since the first game. Which just kind of grabs keys to go through doors, so yeah. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's my least favorite part of the game. It kind of feels like Insomniac just put this in the last second, so yeah. But Sparks also gives you one award once you finish all the Sparks worlds. You get one more hit point, and you can throw on gems now, which you can do naturally in Spyro 2, so Since we were on the subject of the speedway levels, let's talk about them. Those make a return to, and they function the same way. They're the usual challenge of getting all the objects as fast as you can, and there's more added things to them like races and the aforementioned hunter missions. And here I would usually say how terrible I am at these, but I don't know if I got better at experience, but I'm actually pretty good at them here. I mean, they're pretty fun, and the hitbox all flaming stuff doesn't really feel as tight as the last two games. And the racing missions are actually pretty fun too. If you win first place and you can shoot down the other opponents with missiles and go through speed rings, or just flame them. Honestly, the speedway levels in this game are personally my favorite parts in the game, and my favorite speedway levels in the trilogy. Completely surprised myself there. There are also more skill points to collect, and your reward is more concept art, so yeah. Now let's talk about the bosses. They got into Yoshi's Island approach to the bosses, where they take smaller enemies and make them bigger. It's actually pretty cool and actually kind of fun. Ironically, the only one I thought was underwhelming was the final boss with the Sorceress. It's an okay boss, but an absolute far cry from Ripto from the last game. Use these vehicles to attack her and it's pretty easy. And then once you defeat her, you have all the gems and all the dragon eggs. You unlock the super bonus round. It sort of plays like Nasty's loot from the first game, where you do nothing but collect gems. I mean, the mini games are still there, but yeah, after you do all that, you fight the Sorceress again, which for some reason she didn't die, or at least have burn marks because she burned in lava. So when we fight her with the spaceship, and yeah, it's still pretty easy. Anyway, you get the final egg and you get this final cutscene. This wasn't worth 100% completion. Okay, it kinda was. At this point, I probably shouldn't have to say anything but the soundtrack. Stuart Copeland did a great job again, and every song in this game is just perfect. First, our Sergeant Bird's theme, Harbor Speedway, Fireworks Factory is the best one in the game. I was kinda worried that the Reignited Trilogy, according to Ant Dude, made it sound less powerful than the 10s, but I ended up really loving it. And since we're talking about the soundtrack, let's talk about the greatest hits version of the game. So usually the greatest hit label of a case is usually a reselling of the game to indicate that it's sold well. Here is more like a patch. And see, when this game first came out, the soundtrack wasn't finished on release, so some levels would just replay songs from another level. Like the Speedway levels will always use a song from Harbor Speedway. But in the greatest hits label of the game, the version that I emulated, each Speedway has its own separate track, so yeah. There's also this one cutscene that just doesn't play in the black label case, so there's that. Being at the end of the PS1's life, I think the graphics are at its best here. I mean, it's mostly just like Spyro 2, having the worlds full of NPCs and being more alive. But I think the worlds and the hub worlds are just so much prettier before. And I also love how there's more attention to detail here. Like how Sheila hops around with her music, Agent 9 has a zoom in function with his gun, Sparks is your cursor in the options menu, and the detail on the springs is Sunrise Spring, and how Spyro emotes more in the cutscenes. Yeah, I think the graphics are pretty good for a PS1 game. So yeah, most people prefer Spyro 2 because they don't really like Spyro 3's heavy reliance on vehicle sections and mini games. I mean, I can see where they're coming from. I have the same problem with Jak 3 with that game not knowing what its focus is. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they're idiots for it. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite for saying that, but like,
Or saying that it's just variety for the sake of variety, I think would be a little bit over exaggerating. In this game, the vehicle sections feel more like breaks from the excellent platforming than anything. Unlike Jak 3, most of them are pretty fun and they don't really feel shoehorned in. But yeah, overall, Spyro 3 is a really fun game. I think it might be my favorite in the trilogy actually. There are more playable characters, there's nice challenges, colorful worlds, the speedway levels are the best in my opinion, and even though the ending is the weakest of the trilogy, I think Spyro 3 still earns all the praise that it gets. And that's the whole Spyro trilogy. Now the moment of truth is that have these games still aged well, and I think the answer is pretty obvious. Oh yeah. Similar to what I think about the Jak and Daxter trilogy, all three games have something for everyone. Spyro 1 is just pure platforming and finding collectibles, which I think a casual gamer can enjoy. Spyro 2 are for people who love challenges and just like a livelier world. And Spyro 3 have a lot more mission types, so nothing gets repetitive. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'll leave that up to you. The Reignited trilogy is almost flawless, so the PS4 / Xbox One / Nintendo Switch / PC are the definitive consoles to play these classics on. Download the original trilogy off the PSN store, or play off the PS2. Or if feeling really nostalgic, you can just get a PS1 and just play the original trilogy off them. Anyway, when did Spyro the Dragon go after this? Well, kind of like Crash Bandicoot, Insomniac actually made the first 3 games, but Universal owned the rights, so after that, Spyro 4 Enter the Dragonfly came out, which had less than stellar reviews, to say the least. There were 3 Game Boy Advance titles, which were pretty good, and Spyro 5 Heroes, it was kind of like scratch to insanity for the Spyro franchise. And whatever the hell they were going for Legend of Spyro, I won't say anything because I haven't played any game post PS1. There's also a lot of cancel games too. There's one game called Spyro Ever After, which is supposed to be an educational game, where Spyro meets the little pigs. Shit. There's also an Agent 9 spin-off plan. It was supposed to be a James Bond parody game, doing spy missions, and honestly, I'd actually play that game. It was nice that Spyro finally made a return into modern day gaming, and I wouldn't mind if Toys for Bob actually made some of the canceled games a reality. Except for the educational game, but yeah. But it's time to wrap up Spyro month. Sorry it was only 3 videos, but like, have you seen the video length? Have you seen the length of this video? Like, I know it probably sounds like a broken record for the people who are on my Discord server, but like, this video has taken me really long to edit, so yeah. So next time I'm gonna get some sleep because after working on 3 reviews this month, done in 1 month, while juggling school and the Twitch channel, I'm a little bit burnt out. So I might take like 2 or maybe 3 weeks off. So yeah, so maybe by the 3rd week of October, get ready for some new videos. But in the meantime, to keep the fans occupied, so here's what I'm gonna do. So the next 3 reviews are going to be on PlayStation games again, but while that's happening, you guys get to choose which Sonic game I get to review next. The choices are Sonic Colors, Sonic Forces, and the Classic series. So yeah, you guys have until November 30th to get your votes in. So yeah, I'm gonna put a poll in the description, or I'll just leave a pinned comment for those who don't look at the description. So yeah. And I can put a poll in my Discord server, so yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys. No, actually, before I go, there's just going over the topic of Spyro, there's still one thing that makes this game better than the first 2.
Uh-oh. Why are you looking at me like that? I've got to be going now. Toodles!
You can beat up Moneybags for stealing all your gems, so take that as you will.